Hello, we are Nerds of the West, and today we are giving you our thoughts on Planet Unknown. This is the retail version of the game, which is why it has taken us so long to get to this. We're going to be giving you our thoughts so you can make up your mind on if this game might be right for you. And at the end, we are going to rank it on our Nerds of the West ranking board. This is how we decide and rank games here, not based on a score of 1 to 10, but just, if given the opportunity, what we personally would prefer to play. My name is Tom. We have Sean.
Hey.
We have Jimmy.
Hey.
We have Kai.
Howdy.
Kai, can you give us an overview of what this game is?
Sure. In Planet Unknown, we have been competing to create the best new home for humanity after Earth runs out of resources. To do so, we have been trying to get the most victory points, or medals, by terraforming our planet with chunks of land. We've been taking it in turns to spin this space station named Susan. Look to camera. To not only select what 2 tiles we have available for ourselves, but which 2 tiles our opponents will have to choose from as well. We've been gaining points by completing full columns and rows on the planet, as well as advancing up these 5 different resource tracks, which have medals along the way. We've had separate objectives that we've been competing with our direct neighbors for to gain points, and a few little secret objectives that we've collected from civilization cards along the way.
What do you guys feel, and I think this is what this game comes down to in the end, about the decision space? Because to me, there is the simple decisions of the 2 choices you have here, but so many branching decisions that you find as you go along the way and have your different choices, the way you play stuff, the points that you get. How did you feel going in about the tracks, the tile placement, where things were, and what the decisions you had to make along the way?
Well, if I was going to jump in, I think it's great. I think there's enough choice on every one of your turns, even though you don't know what you're going to get, especially if it's not your turn picking, because the commander token goes around and you're leading that turn. So you get to pick which one tile you want, and then everybody else is locked into the rest. So you really don't have any idea what you're going to have if it's not your turn to pick. But I feel like out of the 2 tiles you get to choose from, there is enough about where you can put them, what tracks you're going to go up, and then having the synergy, I think, really helps a lot from the resource tracks to be able to then specialize in the tracks you want to then further your objectives and stuff. So I think there's enough.
Yeah, with the decision space, I like that 1 in every 4 turns, you've got a much bigger decision to make. Because
you're waiting for it. You are waiting for that one.
Yeah, that's it. So if you're looking at a tile, for a while there I was looking at one of these 2 space tiles as the perfect one. I needed to fill this gap and just hoping that no one else took it so that when it came to my turn, I could make sure that it was in my depot and I could take it. But every other turn, there's no point planning too far ahead because you just don't know which 2 tiles you're going to have to choose from. So I like that it's not stressful every single turn having to pick between all these different tiles. Most of the time, you're only picking between 2 and you only have that choice once it's landed in front of you, once the commander's chosen the orientation of the board.
Yeah, it's not stressful at the start, but then at the end, when you've got nothing left to place, but you want a specific tile, then it's like...
Yeah, but I like that it alternates between big choices and choosing not just for yourself, but for the whole table, and then you narrow back down again, and then it widens out, then it narrows back down again. I think it's a good balance.
And then, you're also, you're comparing your objectives versus what you're doing versus what your neighbors are doing in our scenario, obviously.
Yeah, I find some games you dial into the objective and it's working really well for you, and some games just like the second I was 2 water spaces ahead of Sean, I went, cool, I'm done. I'm going water, he can have those points.
Yeah, I saw Kai getting so ahead, it's like, I'll try for it, but realistically I just decided to lean towards my tech tracks and hope that would get me, and, it got me a fair amount of points, I kept up, so I was happy with that.
I adore a game that makes your choices simple but gives you strategy within those choices. At the end of the day, this game is 2 choices. You have these 2 tiles, which one does better for you? But then that better for you goes to, all right, does it fit on my planet better to give me these points? Does it give me the resources I need to go up this track and give me those points? Does it give me a synergy that will let me go up the tech track to get a tech earlier than I might normally get it? Or for you guys, go heavy on the civ track and get those cards earlier than anybody else. The choices are simple, but what they mean is so in depth that this game can be played by anyone. It's accessible to all, and then can become so crunchy that at the end you're comparing so many different things with everybody else. And I I love that. What makes it absolute banger tier for me is that it doesn't slow down with more players. We slowed down and it took a little bit longer today because we had to show everybody our choices on camera.
Moves, yeah.
This game plays the same amount of time in a 1-player game, a 2-player game, and a 6-player game, which is so worth adding to your collection just for that one thing. A 6-player game that doesn't slow down with 6 players is
because the actions are
gold.
happening simultaneously.
The only slowdown I could see happening is with the Civ cards.
Yeah.
Like, so if you had 3 players selecting a Civ, that's where the bottleneck would become. It's not a huge bottleneck.
No, but also the unlikeliness of, all right, you've all gotten Civ tiles at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it can happen.
I don't think there's too much slowdown because, like, when one of us was picking a Civ tile, you guys just continued on and did your thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that really makes the game bog down to go, oh, I need to choose this first before you can do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, everybody.
I mean, like, if you had, like, 2
multiple
or 3.
people.
Oh, yeah, of
Civ
course.
second.
Yeah,
Because
that was-
obviously the second Civ
first person has to pick, then they
you go-
hand it over. Yeah.
That's the only bottleneck. I like going with what Tom said.
The other part of it, before we touch on art, that I love is the randomized setup. Not only is the Susan changing every single time because you take them all out, fill it back up, you then have the Susan can be in a different configuration, so the matchup of tiles is different. The Civ cards are randomized, and then there's an event deck that you can add that every single turn adds a positive, adds a negative, changes up how the game plays. And then on top of that, if we just get rid of all this, every single planet has an alternate side, and every single corporation has an alternate side. I haven't played the jump drive people before, but when you choose a life pod, you can put it into your tech or your scoring area. And when you put it into tech, it gives you those techs unlocked earlier than anywhere else.
That's cool.
So it gives you a reason to unlock life pods as soon as possible, which gives you a reason to unlock rovers as soon as possible and changes your decisions again. Like, there is so many layers to this game, but it is so simple. And now I'm going to shut up and let you throw any opinions that you have.
See, that part just there with the whole corporations changing how your thing works is reminiscent of Eclipse for me, which I really enjoy Eclipse. I've never actually played the custom factions on that, but like having something that then works a better way because that's just how it is, and then kind of steering your actions a little. Yeah, okay, it could be frustrating for some people, but if that's how it is, that's how it is.
Yeah, and the different factions are so unique. There are ones that are like, all right, you're like, I can't remember, one of us had it. The water faction moves over all the other factions, which means if your other faction matches up to where your water faction is, it then skips it, so you can like nail the timing of placing different tiles to go different ways. They've really put the effort in to go, what are the different ways our mechanics can interact, and just throw it all in.
I'd be very curious to see how the balance of that works. If there's some like planet corp combo that is crazy overpowered, it's hard to say without. I'm sure they've done testing, obviously, but it's hard to say until you play a bunch of combinations. I like that this is the way that I would play it the first time, first of all, like we have today. But it's how I would introduce the game to people, play it with people who aren't as heavy into board games. And then if I was to play with this group again, I think we'd all play with, custom boards and things for a bit more of an intense, a bit more crunchy decisions. So I like that it has that range that you can choose from. And I think in a game like this, where when it boils down to it, it's tile placement, there needs to be variation in other places. And the fact that the cards, the Civ cards change, that you can throw in events to mix things up, there's enough variation here for it to not just feel like the same game, which is a trap that I think tile placement games can get into.
My one critique, and it's barely a critique, is that there are so many different objective cards that you can meet. There's basically a variation for every single one. So the biggest greenery, the biggest Civ, the biggest this, which means sometimes it's going to feel a little samey, but I wish they'd kind of trimmed those down a little bit to just the ones that are really interesting. At the same time, maybe if they did that, would have gone, oh, you could do a bit more of everything.
But you might only have one of those per game even, so
exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Art and component quality. Thoughts?
Okay, unpopular opinion maybe. I'm looking at Kai's board right here, and there's a bend in it already. That's the only thing that I'm thinking like, okay, that would come with wear and tear regardless.
Well, we've also only opened this in the last week.
Exactly. Aside from that, it all looks nice, and I do like all these parts. I can look at it quickly and know, yeah, that's that. I can easily say that's where that's going to go. That's what that thing is for. I think it's nice that Susan's a nice addition to the game. It's something
Susan's so cool.
I haven't seen it in a game before, so it was quite fun. But yeah, I think like the cards aren't too small. The writing's not too small. It's nice.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I really like this. I didn't even know that was a thing until you just did it on stream. Then that blew my mind. I did not see when we were setting it up. That is really cool for changing every game up. So they have put thought into this, that's for sure. I think if I was to put a gripe in, I feel like it's a bit busy. I don't know if they could have simplified the art and made it a bit more basic, whether that would give it less charm or not. I just feel like I look at this and there is a lot of stuff going on.
To me, it's busy, but it needs to be because there are so many different things going on. So they've made it work by having it be very contrasty to everything, so you can clearly see what is going on. I did mention in our playthrough, I am slightly worried about the colorblind aspect of it, that the brown of the energy, the green of the greenery, the biomass, and the rover may all match up and be too close for people who are red, green colorblind. But the symbology on it all, the fact that the rover has the trails, the potholes, the trees have trees on them, the biomass has trees, I think it would be enough to get away with it. I can't make that call. Somebody else who is red, green colorblind will have to do that for me.
Yeah. On component quality, overall, I think it's acceptable. I think that there's some weird like the rovers are really cute. Look at them, they're little rovers and they're 3D and they look like rovers. And then the meteors are just kind of these things, and the life pods are just kind of these. It's a little bit strange to me that one of the components is a full 3D thing and the others aren't. I think it would have been fine if all were one or all the other. I don't think that games need to be as 3D minis as they are these days.
Yeah, I wonder if this couldn't, like they weren't happy with the wooden version of this. I will say the Kickstarter version of both of these is a nice 3D modeled thing.
Yeah.
And that is one of those, you missed out on that so you don't get it kind of things.
Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
If you're kickstarting a game for it to be retail, the retail version should be as good quality as... Add exclusives, don't take away from... Anyway, the other little things when we opened the game to unpack it, the tiles were everywhere. There is no box insert. This is where you store the tiles, and there's no lid, and the box is bigger than this. So when you stand the box up, the tiles go everywhere. The deluxe edition, which is just finished on GameFound or something, you can still late pledge, comes with a lid for it. Good. Obviously, they saw the error of their ways. But this version that we played, mess. I also think that the planet boards, yours has already got everything dumped off of it.
Yeah, please don't do another.
Why is everything else thick? Why isn't it thick cardboard? Why isn't it like normal cardboard? They're already weathering around the edges, which for like a $120 odd Australian dollar game, I can see where the money went, but come on, the tiles are that thick. Why is the board not? That's I'm nitpicking to an extent, but with the cost of games these days and the components that people are getting used to, for the amount that I recall this costing, I think it should be a little bit higher than it is.
Totally agree with you. Hello, Silver Medal Tavern. Thank you for the raid. Let us know what you guys are playing today while we put this on our Nerds of the West ranking list. As I said before, we rank games not based on 1 to 10 because you can't compare this to Terraforming Mars no matter how much you want to try. We just have to say, if given the opportunity, what we personally would prefer to play. So this is us ranking our final game for the year onto this. I'm going to go first. Spoiler alert, number 1. I will play this at any given opportunity. I was so worried when we played this at PAX and I adored it that I would get it and it wouldn't match up to the hype of playing it with some really cool people there. This game can be played 2 to 6 players. It's got a solo mode. It plays in less than an hour. There is so many cool things going on and so many different ways to play. I will break this out at any given opportunity. I think this game is awesome.
Okay. Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to go... I'm not going to go number 1 because I'm definitely more heavy than what this game provides, sort of gamer. So I think Arc Nova Dune Imperium all still stay right at the top for me, but I would play it over Archaeos Society and The Witcher, so I would say somewhere right there underneath the regular Dune Imperium.
I kind of agree with Sean. I think Ark Nova and Dune Imperium in particular would win out over this for me. King Domino's fine. I would say probably in between King Domino and Dune Imperium, of which Rise of X is an expansion. So.
Okay, so I haven't played the expansions for Doom. I do really enjoy Doom Imperium. I would probably play that over this. However, I'd probably play this over Ark Nova because the setup time for Ark Nova is frustrating. Not that I have an issue with if the game was fully set out, I'd be happy playing either or. So
we'll see how you feel once you played the expansions for Dune Imperium, because
yeah.
I adore Dune Imperium with all the expansions.
Yeah. I think I'd probably be having spoken to Sean about it. I'd probably be in a similar boat. I think where we put it is where I would roughly throw it. I definitely would play it over King Domino, I think.
But that is just our thoughts. We'll see where everybody else at Nerds ranks this, because at the end of the year, in 2 weeks' time, we are going to do our ranking stream where we have all voted on every single game on this list and re-rank it all. If you want to see that, we'll be live with that. Or if you're coming to us from far in the future, you can check that out here on YouTube. We are live now on Twitch. You can join us every single week. We're going to stick with Twitch for a while and possibly move over to YouTube far, far, far in the future. We are Nerds of the West. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Tom. We have a Sean.
Hey.
We have a Jimmy.
Bye.
We have a Kai.
See ya.
This has been Planet Unknown, and we'll catch you next time.
Space!